Leaders in Internet media and the American-made movement. You're listening to Internet Radio America. Tonight on Internet Radio America, it's Two-Wheel Meltdown. Mark Perewitz is in the house, live from Baker Train headquarters. And now, here's Mark.
What's going on, people? It's the Two-Wheel Meltdown Week 2. We got a great show for you. A couple more great guests. We've got Dave Perewitz. For those in the motorcycle industry, I don't have to talk too much about Dave Perewitz. You guys all know who he is. We've also got Paul from Bare Knuckle Choppers coming in. Great guy, great supporter of America, and that's what the show is all about, America. You're listening on Internet Radio America. You're getting to us through internetradio.com. Don't forget, you can also go to your Android or iPhone app, Live 365. That's Live 365 app. You can listen on the mobile phone as you're cruising down the road or doing whatever the heck it is you do. Fellas, if you want to call in, I know last week I left the last 10 minutes open for you to call in. If you've got something to talk about with us, give us a call. It's 617-381-4700. That's 4700. 617-381-4700. We're changing it up a little bit this week. If you want to call in and talk tech, we'll talk tech. But I've got a question for you. We're going to do this every week. The question of the day. What is your favorite attempted fix? Now, a lot of you fellas own shops or even in your own garage, and you've seen somebody roll in with their motorcycle, and they've got the duct tape holding the headlight on or a hose clamp holding the frame together, maybe a milk jug for an oil tank. I guess Andy Fryer must have seen that because Andy Fryer, our head engineer, was the one that brought this up to me. James, have you ever seen any odd fixes out there?
I've seen some pretty cool stuff, Mark, or pretty...
well, let's hear about it, bro.
Well, I had one buddy that used to run generator shovels a lot, and he was notorious for having chronically bad charging systems. I mean, his generator was bad, his regulator was bad, his wiring is bad, what have you.
He could never keep juice going.
He just couldn't keep the juice going, man. So he constantly traveled with a battery charger, but there were times that he's been known to ride down the road next to another one of his bros actually wired together. While his battery was out being charged, he would just string some jumper leads between his bike and his bro's bike, and they would ride down the highway side by side with about 10 feet of wire between them and just make it happen. I mean,
talk about riding in formation,
do, right?
buddy. Hey. There's your question of the day. If you've ever come across anything odd and weird like that, let us know, man. They're all fun stories, and they're all funny stories, and we want to hear about it. So give us a call, fellas, 617-381-4700. We'll leave the phone lines open till about 20 after. Then we'll take a break and get to our first guest. All right, featured product of the week. We were doing last week industry news. We're going to skip industry news. News is boring, man. We're going to feature a product every week, one of our Baker Drivetrain products, and explain to you a little bit about what it is, what it does, what applications. This week is the 6 and a 4. A while back, as our last guest from last week was talking about Fab Kevin, people seen the 6-speed, and they said, man, I want that for my old shovel head. And Bert went, are you crazy? That shovel head's worth like $2,000, and the tranny would be worth like $3,500. Why would you want to do that? Because I like my old bike, Bert. Damn it, you asshole. And I really, really would like a 6-speed in it so I can ride with all the rest of the fellas that got their 5 and 6 speeds. So eventually Bert did it. And what the 6 and a 4 essentially is, it's a 4-speed, but it's packed around 2 other gears. The first gear, we're going to give you a low gear, either a 324 or a 294, to launch you out of the hole. Then you got your 4 speeds in between, and then a .86 overdrive on top. The .80 6.0 is also an option, but that's what's called our deep overdrive. And James, you want to explain a little bit why you would want a deep overdrive and who really wouldn't want a deep overdrive?
Well, I think we ought to start by comparing the stock 4-speed to the 6 and 4.
Sounds good.
The stock 4-speed in an FL has a 3.0 to 1 first gear. That's like a granny gear. That's like something in your old pickup truck or dump truck
or fork truck.
To haul hay wagons, And then the second gear is typically a 1.82. There's a big difference between the first and second.
Big
so anyone who's ever ridden an old FLH knows when you go from first to second, it goes crash, and you can't get a good 1-2 shift. 74, when the Super Glide actually came out earlier, but in 74, Harley actually introduced a 2.44 Super Glide first gear.
Nice.
2.44 was good. You can get a lot more mile per hour in first, a lot less crash between first and second.
But it was a dog taking off.
Well, it was
right?
really tall. If you didn't have a big motor or didn't really know how to work that clutch good and slip that clutch, it was kind of a dog. The bike would go like 40 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour in first gear. So, in comparison, we give you what we recommend for normal applications is a 294 first gear.
Very comfortable first gear.
Right, gets you out of the hole way better, like you said. Fourth gear in a 4-speed is 1-to-1. When you got a 1-to-1 fourth gear in a 4-speed with your like 342 overall gearing that those bikes were typically delivered with, that means it's cool up to 55, 60. Anything more than that, you're breaking taillight bulbs, you're shaking off your fenders, rolling, your license plate's falling off.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. And then and again, we went to the .86 is pretty much the standard sixth gear.
Right, that'll give you your about 500 RPM drop at 70, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's night and day.
Oh man, it's a monster, huge difference. For anybody that's ridden a 1-to-1 ratio fifth gear or fourth gear down the highway, you know exactly what we're talking about. When you get to 60 or 75, 80 miles per hour, you really want to crank it up and you really want to pass, but you're getting crap shook out of you. So that's what we did. Now back to the deep overdrive, the .80. Who would use a .80? I mean, that's a huge deep overdrive.
That's a real specialty item. I mean, sometimes a guy, not typically with a shovel head, but a guy will gear his bike for drag strip, like with a real low primary ratio. So it goes bam, 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 bam through the first 5 gears. Guys that do a lot of stoplight drag racing, and then they'll still want to cruise on the highway, so they'll have this basically like a highway-only sixth gear. That's typically, give us a call. If you're considering the deep overdrive, you either need gobs of horsepower or you have to have your bike properly prepped to pull it.
Yeah, if that wasn't a good enough explanation for you, please give us a call. We're always available. Toll-free number. Baker's toll-free number is a 1-877-640-2004. That's 1-877-640-2004, and we'll explain it to you in further detail.
Yep, and you'll get to talk to a real live person right here in good old Michigan. We're not in India or,
Pakistan or anywhere else. And more than likely than not, you'll get to talk to one of us. Myself, I'm a sales tech. Scott is a sales tech. Matt, as well as James Seminelli, who I have to my right here. The 6 and a 4 is offered in quite a few different configurations. You can get it with a kicker, without a kicker. Electric start is offered. You can get it with mechanical clutch, a hydraulic clutch, and all the different case finishes. Raw, black, polished. If you want purple, we can do purple. You're going to have to give us some extra time, though. Purple is not something that we stock on the shelf. If you want to do your own powder coating, we'll send it to you raw, and we'll send you the components raw. You can get your powder coating done or your paint done, send the components back to us. We'll assemble the 6 and 4 into your case that you sent us and get it on the way. Actually, I just sold one today, a 6 and a 4, where they wanted it all black, and not just black, it's a black chrome. I've seen this black chrome before, and it's some sweet-looking stuff. And this guy's bike is going to be something special. Okay, our guest coming up, like I said, we got Dave Perewitz coming up. We also have Paul from Bare Knuckle Choppers. These guys are both American, not just American fellas, they are American-made builders. They do quality products. They use our products in their bikes, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with these guys, trust me.
Yeah, let's just call them industry icons, man. Dave Perewitz is,
definitely, they are, no doubt about it.
As long as custom Harleys have been around, you had Dave Perewitz.
Dave's right there, man. He's been there through and through. Little note for you all. We've got holiday hours. The holidays are coming up, as you know, Christmas, New Year's. We're not going to be here on Christmas. I know you'd like us to be here so you can thank us for your Christmas present, but it ain't happening, people. Monday and Tuesday are Christmas Eve and Christmas, the 24th and the 25th. We will be closed. Normally, or in the past, we've been closed all week between Christmas and New Year's. Bert said, screw that. This year we're going to be here for our customers. So the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th, we will be here. We will be manning the phones. It's going to be a skeleton crew. So if you want something shipped out immediately, we may be able to do it. We may not, but we'll do our best to take care of you. We're here for you. That's what we do, and we're going to be here for you during the holidays as well. We've got some time before our tech tip of the week, and I just wanted to mention to you, people here at Baker Drivetrain, as I've told you before, we're here for you. We're on the phones. I had an interesting call today from a fellow in the military wanting to do something for the military, for the Army. It was a special build, something that we do not do. If you have ideas that you think we can handle, go ahead and give us a call. We'll see what we can do for you. Special builds are things that cost a lot of money, folks, and it's not typical around here. But if it's for a worthwhile cause, and we believe we can help you out, and we can do it in a somewhat timely manner, we'll definitely try and take care of you. You've had weird calls like that.
Yeah, I'll add a little something to that. I want to say a lot of times people call up thinking they need this one-off specialty piece. I got to have this like this and blah, blah, blah. And, we kind of review everything on a case-by-case basis. And typically, we could take something we already offer and just do a couple of slight tweaks to it and reconfigure it and typically get you fixed up and going down the road without a lot of extra cash, without one-off specialty stuff. I mean, we've got a lot of resources here. We've got a lot of options, and we'll do backflips for you. We'll do whatever it takes.
We're an American-made company, and we take pride in being an American-made company. And since America began, what it began with was a lot of people helping each other and banding together to get a job done, and we're still those people. Let's get into our tech tip, James. Clutch adjustment. So many times people think that, oh, my transmission's screwed up. I got gears missing or teeth busted. It doesn't want to shift into this gear, doesn't want to shift into that gear, and a simple clutch adjustment can eliminate so many headaches and so many worries. But here's the other thing. Some people know how to adjust it at the cable, some at the clutch. The proper procedure is outlined in your Harley-Davidson manual. Anybody that owns a Harley-Davidson, please pick up your service manual. It's after, what do they cost, James? $50 or
$40 or $50, and they're really well written. I mean, Harley-Davidson service manuals and their parts manuals too are among the best out there. They're really easy to understand. They're written in normal, simple language. You don't have to be some kind of PhD to read it and understand it. I mean, if you've got a toolbox and a Harley-Davidson service manual and you take your time and read it, you can pretty much get it done.
No doubt about it. I have one for my bike, and it's helped me quite a bit. Even before I was a Baker Drivetrain employee, I owned a BMW motorcycle, and I had a service manual for that too. Please, if you're going to own one of these bikes, get yourself a service manual. The clutch adjustment is something I check once a year. at least, or any time that I'm having problems. It's a simple procedure. You collapse the cable totally. Then you pull your derby cover, or clutch inspection cover, whatever you'd like to call it.
And when you say the cable, you mean that mid-cable adjuster. You want to totally collapse that mid-cable adjuster?
Correct. You follow the cable from your clutch handle down to the mid, what did you call it?
The mid-cable
Give me the
adjuster.
technical.
It's actually got like a little rubber accordion boot over it. You're going to kind of slide that up out of the way, and I believe you're going to need 2 halves and a 9/16 wrench. If I'm not to get technical or anything.
Nice. Totally collapse your cable, and then you go to your clutch. There's a adjuster screw with a lock nut on it. You remove the lock nut, or at least loosen the lock nut. Back it out. Back it out so there's no tension there whatsoever. Run it in. And run it in all the way. A lot of people tell you run it in first time just till it touches. No. Run it in all the way so you know that your ramps are
you're getting the balls
totally
in the right. You're exactly right, man. You want to run that in till you can watch the pressure plate pop off. You want to use the clutch spring pressure to actually kind of get everything sit where it needs to be. So you'll do that first. You'll keep turning and turning until you really feel some pressure before you back it up.
Before you can go any farther. And now's the time to take it, back it out, run it back until you just slightly feel pressure. Just slightly. That's when it's just touching.
Right.
Just touching. Now you back it out a half a turn, lock the lock nut down, and hang on to the screw while you're doing this. It's so important. You're at the perfect spot. You're where you need to be. You're a half turn out. Don't start locking the nut down and turning the screw at the same time. And now you just screwed yourself. There are tools out there, aren't there, James, to help people with that?
There are. A lot of times, I've got a special socket I took and kind of welded a nut to, and I hold that with 11/16 wrench and I reach in there with long T-handle Allen. But I mean, if you want to be crude, you climb a vice grip on a socket. You could take a combination wrench and you could heat it cherry red and kind of put a zigzag bend in it. But it's necessity is the mother of invention, man. You just look at it, you'll figure out what you got to do.
Definitely. But backing off that half turn, lock the lock nut down. Now you go back to your cable adjustment. You're going to want a little free play. You do not want it as tight as it's going to go. Should be about 1/8 of an inch of free play. A lot of people say take a nickel and stick it in between your handle where you pull it and you see the handle sliding out of the other metal clasp. You want if you can stick a nickel in there, you've got enough free play. Anything you want to add to that, James? And not just add to it, but what are some of the symptoms that people come to you and say, man, this is wrong, and you tell them, no, man, just adjust your clutch first.
We get this every day.
Definitely.
Typically, hard to find neutral. A lot of times can be traced to improper clutch adjustment, difficulty shifting, gears clashing when shifting. A good rule of thumb is when your bike's idling and you got the clutch all the way into the handle and you kick it into gear and it goes and the bike jumps, you got a dragging clutch. If you pull up to a stop sign and you're having to fight the bike with your feet and it's trying to pull through the light, your clutch is dragging. If you're having trouble getting the bike into neutral, your clutch is dragging. And the way you can verify this is, okay, I know I can't shift or find neutral well with my motor running. Shut the engine off, rock the bike back and forth with your feet, and try and shift it through the gears and try and find neutral. Now, you're going to have to rock it back and forth to take the lash out of it and make the dogs line up and such. But if you can get it in and out of gear and in and out of neutral without the engine running, it's a sure sign that you got a dragging
clutch adjustment. Yep. Yeah, we hear the neutral thing all the time, and that is a very simple way to do it. If you can't find neutral when you're with the bike running, but you can with the bike not running, it is your clutch adjustment. Take care of that first.
And if those of you that really want to get technical, maybe you work in a machine shop or something, or you have access to precision tools, you take that derby cover off and put a dial indicator in the center of your pressure plate, clutch adjuster screw, pull that handle, you want to see a minimum of about 070. 085, 090 is really, really nice.
Really good. Okay, we got to get out of here for a break. When we come back from the break, we have Dave Perewitz coming on with us. So please stick around. This is the Two-Wheel Meltdown.
Leaders in Internet media and the American-made movement. You're listening to Internet Radio America.
Can't seem to find the right size wrench? Are you tired of searching for the right tool? Introducing the Loggerhead Bionic Wrench. It's 14 wrenches in one. Any size, just squeeze and turn. The patented design produces a powerful mechanical advantage. Pliers and adjustable wrenches can strip the corners, but that won't stop the Bionic because it grips on all 6 sides. Simply squeeze and turn. American made and a proven winner. No more guessing. Easy to use. Adjusts like a pliers. The Bionic wrench is 14 wrenches in one. Everyone needs one. At home or on the road. With the patented gripping power. The Bionic grips them all. It's a gripping experience. Thousands of uses for the Bionic wrench. Makes a great gift for everyone on your holiday list. 100% American made. Lifetime guarantee.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Fuller's Sugar House. Maple syrup, maple candy, and gifts. Go to FullerSugarHouse.com. 100% American made. Tuesday on Internet Radio America. It's Beans and Apples. Sax and Rowdy in the house to talk about New York and Boston. It's the sports. It's the culture. It's the fans. Beans and Apples, a special sports talk show between New York and Boston. 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights on Internet Radio America. Leaders in Internet media and the American-made movement. You're listening to Internet Radio America. All right, let's get back more with Mark and the Two-Wheel Meltdown on Internet Radio America.
Hello. Yeah, we're back on the Two-Wheel Meltdown. Dave, are you there, buddy?
Yes, I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the ever so famous Dave Perewitz. And Dave, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, you know. Keeping busy here in Massachusetts, and the weather hasn't gotten too cold yet. People are, they pretty much put their bikes away for the winter, but yeah, we're doing okay. You know, we've got a good amount of work, and you know, just plugging away.
Good deal, man. Hey, I got somebody next to me that you might know. Do you know this character named James Simonelli?
Yes, I do. I've heard that name. He's a famous guy.
Yeah, man,
he's almost as famous as you, huh?
Yeah, James and I have a lot in common, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't have to elaborate on that, man. It's a family show.
You know, Mark, you have a very familiar voice. I think I've heard your voice in a strip joint once or twice.
We're not going to elaborate on that too much either, but yeah, it's possible, man.
Oh, okay. I thought that voice sounded familiar.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, we all got to start somewhere, so...
Absolutely.
Cool, man, and speaking of family radio, it's not really family radio, but we like to keep it family-friendly, and we also have a lot of listeners out there, Dave, that have no idea what goes on in the motorcycle world. This is an American-made radio station. This is an American-made audience, and so please tell them a little bit about what you do there at the Perewitz shop.
Well, we're basically a full-scale shop here. We do everything from minor repairs, oil changes, and change tires to building full ground-up customs. We have a big service department, and you know, we have a showroom with a whole bunch of custom bikes that we've built. And, we have a full spray booth, actually 2 spray booths. And
Nice.
our thing is custom paint. I've been doing custom paint since 1970. And so, we do a lot of paint jobs. Of course, things have changed so much over the years, the styles and now with all the Harley factory custom jobs, it changes things a lot. And then we have a fab shop with enough machinery to do pretty much anything we need to do, and then we have an assembly shop for assembling the full ground-up stuff we do.
Talk about full service, from tires and oil changes to, hey, why don't you build me a bike, man?
Right. And let me tell you, there's been more than one guy that's come in here for an oil change and walked out $40,000 later with a full custom.
Nice.
Unfortunately, those are getting to be few and far between in this economy, but we're still making the best of it. We're doing a lot of restoration stuff now. Doing a lot of panheads, especially.
Nice.
And of course, the bagger thing is the biggest thing going on right now.
Hottest trend now, Dave. The big wheel baggers and the
Yep. The big wheel baggers is it. Jody keeps telling me, Dad, you got to get with it. You got to put a big wheel on your bike, and I'm just, I can't bring myself to putting a 26 on my bike. I ride a road glide, and I got a 23 on the front, and I ride pretty hard. And, a 26 just, I don't know if it can fit the bill, but a lot of guys are running them. We're doing more and more of them all the time. And, I guess I got to get up with the times, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Every trend, man, it has its day. You mentioned your daughter, Jody. She did something pretty special out to Bonneville. You want to elaborate on that a little bit? How fast did she go?
Well, Jody is, she works here with me. She's been pretty much a crucial part of this business for a long time, and she started bugging me years ago. Dad, we got to go to Bonneville. And so we decided, well, let's go to Bonneville. And she says, well, we can't go to Bonneville without a bike. We got to build a bike. And so, we've never been really races. I've never built a race bike before, so
right.
I did a lot of research, talked to a lot of very knowledgeable guys, like James and Bert and a bunch of other guys, and Roger Goldhammer and Wink Eller, and got a lot of good. Pardon me?
The Whiz Kids.
Yeah, got a lot of good advice, and with the help of Dan Thayer and Reggie up at R&R, and so we built a 100 cubic inch twin cam bike, and we put Jody on it. She never rode a race bike before, ever, and practiced a couple times, went to Bonneville, and she set 2 land speed records the first year at Bonneville. She ran 203, fastest woman in history on an American bike.
Awesome.
Really, we didn't really expect to do so well so quick, and we were as surprised as everybody else, but we really blew them away. She did great, and we just finished our second year of racing, and she now holds 7 land speed records, and she owns the world record also in the class. She is the fastest woman in history still on an American bike, any size. And, we're running the smallest motor in the field.
That's fantastic, man. That's some good stuff.
Yeah,
so it's,
incredible.
And I know people out there think, 200, hell, I can go buy a stock Hayabusa. They go 185 or 195. And I think what people don't get is maybe that bike will do that,
This
at sea level, at in ideal conditions. But you've seen it, Dave. You take those bikes out to Bonneville, they don't really go that fast, do they?
No, I mean, everybody says a Hayabusa is 200 out of the box. Well, let me tell you, when you go to any land speed event, the majority of bikes are there are Hayabusas. And Danny Gray has a Hayabusa, and he went to Bonneville a few years ago, and he said, yeah, I'm going to go out there and kick some ass, right? Well, he went, according to his speedometer, he ran like 170-something, but according to the clocks at Bonneville, it was 156.
That's a little different.
Yeah, it's a little different, but Danny learned, he told me, this is before I ever went out there, he says, man, it's not as easy as people think, and these bikes, they can say they go 200, maybe under perfect conditions on a smooth asphalt road, you might get close, but, there's a lot of Hayabusas that are doing 200, but, they work at it, let me tell you.
Yeah. We were talking about trends a little before, Dave, and I've been following stuff you do since you were building Ironheads and stuff. I'm kind of a gearhead lifer, and one thing that I was always the most fond of was the 90s kind of Pro Street FXRs, real smooth, clean, not a lot of raking stuff, but hot rod motors and just functional, fast motorcycles, and I see a lot of that coming back. You see the Sons of Anarchy, you see those kind of HA or Sons of Anarchy style, if you will, kind of Dynas and FXRs and performance bikes. You think that's coming back?
Yes, I think that those trends are definitely coming back. I'm traveling all over the country all the time, and I see all these different things, and trends are not generally the same everywhere. They're overall they are, but there's different areas. I was in Virginia about a week ago visiting a friend of mine down there who sells a lot of bikes, and a year ago he was selling basically nothing but road glides and street glides. Now he's selling nothing but Dynas. Everybody wants Dynas, and they got those 12 and 14-inch T-bars on them. They look ridiculous, but that's the hot thing right now. And I know in California it's the same way. Everybody's going for those the Dynas, and if they can get them, the FXRs. Of course, there's not that many of them around anymore. And these guys, got to admit, the majority of the riders, they want to buy new bikes. They don't want old shit, And
right.
Yeah, to ride, and most guys don't realize what a nice bike the FXRs were. But yeah, no, the trends are they're crazy. I've never seen the trends change so quickly and come on so strong as this whole bagger market. Trends always change from year to year or every few years, and
that wheel thing was so big for so long,
Yeah, right, exactly. The big fat tire now, shit, you can't give those bikes away with the big tires on them.
Now, we were talking the other day, kind of shooting the crap, and about like parts that you've had stashed for years and years and years, and you kind of forgot you had, and then you kind of pull them out of a box or pull them out of the attic and say, "Wow, look at this!" And now all of a sudden it's kind of back in style. Everybody wants it. You see a lot of that kind of stuff, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm always looking at used stuff, and I love going to swap meets, and yeah, a lot of that old stuff is like you and I had talked, James. These young guys are building this new cool shit, and it's, like, wow, look at this. And I'm like, yeah, I did that about 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
But, it's still cool. It's still cool, and I've been waiting for the Ironheads to come back, but they haven't come back yet,
They're due. I think they're due. That Horse Magazine crowd, they love the Ironheads, and
maybe if we get somebody in Hollywood to start riding an Ironhead or put it in a movie, it'll come around, just like the Sons of Anarchy are doing for the type of FXRs, Dyna style bikes that you guys are talking about.
Right. I always, wondered, like, Triumphs, how Triumphs have really come back, and they're pretty valuable. Old Triumphs are bringing good money. How come an old Triumph is bringing good money if an old Ironhead isn't,
Right.
I could never figure that one out.
And you said panheads. You're really seeing that much of a kind of resurgence in panheads. Some people want panheads like real pans or replica pans.
Oh, absolutely real pans. There's no room for replica pans anymore. You know, I've done quite a few panhead projects in the last 5 or 6 years, 8 years, and I've done 3 or 4 replicas, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't do another one. It's a real pan or nothing, you know.
Nice.
The replicas I've always had problems with, and they've never been as good as a real pan motor that's done right. And you know, the pan stuff is bringing good money. The parts have retained an unbelievable amount of value. And you know, I think that you know, they're becoming more and more valuable, which is great. You know, I want to see something retain their value in this economy, you know?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Heck yeah.
It's better than money in the bank, right? Better to have a pen.
Right.
No kidding, man.
You know, you told me something interesting the other day, too. Tell us about Storage Wars. You were on Storage Wars, and you got some buddies doing that show or something?
Little Hollywood action for Dave.
Well, Barry from Storage Wars, Barry's my old friend. Him and I have been friends for 30 years. And Barry is just a cool guy. I mean, if you've seen the show, you know, he makes the show. And so we started talking, back in the early part of the summer about, you know, coming to Bonneville. You know, I says, Barry, you should come to Bonneville. You should come to Bonneville. He says, well, we need to bring the show to Bonneville, but we need a hook, you know. And I says, you know, you can't arrange that. And they said, no, we got to have a hook. We got to
all about the hook.
Yeah, we got to have something legit. And so I said, okay. So we went back and forth, and about 2 weeks before Bonneville, he called me and said, hey, I just got a storage locker today, and it's got a couple of motorcycle tires in it, and you're going to be the expert that I'm going to come and see you to get an appraisal on these tires in Bonneville. And I'm like,
Perfect.
Great. So Barry came out to Bonneville with a whole film crew. They brought a tractor trailer with his old truck and a bunch of motorcycles of his, and they set up right outside our pit, and so we filmed a sequence of Storage Wars, and they showed Jody making a record run, and then they filmed us, you know, in the pit area, and then Jody and I interacting with Barry, and it was really a cool deal. You know, we had a lot of fun, and it just aired. It aired last week, and it's going to air. Barry told me it's going to air 300 times this year.
Awesome.
Within a year, it's going to run 300 times in 27 different countries.
Oh, did people
man,
be Perewitzed out or what?
Yeah.
Speaking of Dave, tell everybody where, if they wanted to find out about Perewitz Cycle Fab or look at what you do, where would they go? What's your website and stuff? The
website is perewitz.com, but you can go on our Facebook page. Just, you know, punch in Perewitz or J-Witz Racing. You know, we have a couple of different Facebook pages, and Jody works those on a daily basis, so you can see what we're doing in the shop and what we're building. And you know, that's good in some ways, but it's, you know, when we're working on a customer's bike and we're throwing wrenches around, you know, it's like she's putting that on Facebook, and you know, the guy will say, "Oh, geez, I thought you were a little further along on my bike," you know.
Right. And Dave, you got a phone number people can call as well?
Sure. My phone number is area code 508-697-3595, and we specialize in custom paint. One thing we're doing a real lot of, more than anything, is we're adding graphics or flames, or we're adding custom touch to existing Harley paint jobs.
So
I'll buy, you know, a new road glide, a new street glide, and we're taking the stock Harley paint jobs, and we're just adding, you know, our special touches to them.
And that's a great special touch. Dave, we only got a couple minutes left here, or maybe a few seconds, but I want to thank you, man, for coming on.
No problem at all. Anytime.
and supporting the American thing that we do throughout this country with a lot of great people, and you're one of the best. Before we break, do you got any Baker drivetrain stories? Maybe the first time you met Bert or something like that?
Well, the first time I met Bert, I was doing the Camel program. We were building bikes for RJ Reynolds, and it was in 98, and somebody told me about this guy named Bert Baker that was building a 6-speed transmission. And, so I said, geez, next thing I know, this real straight-looking guy with no tattoos and a short haircut and a sports shirt on shows up in Daytona at the Camel booth, and so I had the first meeting with Bert Baker, and we've been good friends ever since. He's a great guy. He's a huge help to the industry. He's an American-made guy, and we support Baker any chance we get. They build a great product. They stand behind it. And, you'll find most of the custom stuff that we do all has Baker drivetrains in them.
Tuesday on Internet Radio America, it's Beans and Apples. Sax and Rowdy in the house to talk about New York and Boston. It's the sports. It's the culture. It's the fans. Beans and Apples, a special sports talk show between New York and Boston. 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights on Internet Radio America. This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Fuller's Sugar House, maple syrup, maple candy, and gifts. Go to FullerSugarHouse.com. 100% American made.
Attention all animal lovers. This is Cynthia Gary, the inventor of Scratch and All. We know all animals love to scratch. Scratch and All is a safe, unique, American-made animal enrichment product that can be mounted flat on a wall or bent over corners. All 4 sides interlock so you can design a grid tailored specifically to your animal's needs, and it can be a supplement to acupressure. Go to scratchandall.com and take advantage of the celebration bundle. Nearly 11,000 sold. That's the word scratch, the letter N as in Nancy, ALL.com, or call 1-888-9-SCRATCH.
You're listening to Internet Radio America, the radio revolution. And now, the conclusion to Two-Wheel Meltdown. Take it away, Mark.
Yes, it is the conclusion to the Two-Wheel Meltdown live from the Baker Drivetrain Complex. We're up on, the 13th floor or something like that? Just kidding, folks. Right, the penthouse. We got our next guest coming in. This is our featured dealer of the week. He is very, very American-made. Paul, are you there, buddy?
I'm here.
How's it going, brother?
It's great. How are you guys doing?
Great, man. Hey, this is a motorcycle show, but we've got a lot of listeners out there that have no clue about the motorcycle industry. Paul, give us a little background about what you do there at Bare Knuckle.
Well, back around 03 or 04, me and a couple buddies started building motorcycle frames. I worked at a bike shop and actually had a couple other jobs. And so we got started building motorcycle frames. State of Missouri said you can't do that, in your home garage. You got to get out. So I took the leap, started a bike shop, and quickly found out I wasn't prepared. So we kept up with the frames. We still do that. We kind of branched out into a lot of other things. Started doing a lot of machine work, a lot of heavier fabrication work. We do a lot of metal spinning, making motorcycle fenders. We do a lot of production work for other companies. And we build a handful of motorcycles every year. So kind of got our hands in just about as much of the production and manufacturing as we can, aside from transmissions, motors, tires, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you definitely do, and we know that here. And all that manufacturing that you do, that's American-made, right? You're not outsourcing to Japan or China, are you, buddy?
No, we sure aren't. We kind of we beat that drum, and we always knew a long time ago that was the way to be. And then kind of just the more we got to know companies like Baker, and honestly specifically Baker, we saw how hard they were pushing for it. And the more you think about it, every day, as I grew with my business, it meant more and more to me, just because I don't want I don't want my countrymen out of work. It doesn't do any good for our country.
Exactly.
Then they can't spend money with us, and and besides that, most of that stuff that comes in from overseas is junk anyway. And I just, even if I come across something around the house, like.
Fellas, if you want to call in again, the number is 617-381-4700. That's 617-381-4700. And if you got to get a hold of us here at Baker, it's 1-877-640-2004. We got a couple minutes left. James, you got any closing thoughts, brother?
Oh, I'd love to talk to some call-ins, answer a couple of
questions.
Right,
come on, fellas, call on in.
Shy.
Right, it ain't no different than calling me on the phone or calling James on the phone, and you have no problem talking our ear off then. So get on the phone, fellas, give us a call. We've still got our question of the day. What weird fixes have you seen? Milk cartons for oil pans? What do you got out there? Next week, I do not know who our guests are, but our marketing director, Trish, is going to handle that. She's going to get us another industry guest as well as our featured dealer of the week. You're listening to us on Internet Radio America. You can get to this through InternetRadioAmerica.com. You can also go to the 4daysforamerica.com to lead you to the InternetRadioAmerica.com, and also download the Live 365 app on your telephone. You can do that with iPhone or Android. That's how I listen. That's how I listen to myself and say, well, Mark, you screwed up there, man. But Live 365 app or Live 365 app on your Android or iPhone. Next week, we're going to have a new tech tip, as always. I don't know what our featured product of the week is. I know that me and James, before the show, we had an adult beverage. It was a Genesee cream ale that's made. Where's it made, James? What part of New York?
Genesee, New York, I believe, up by Rochester.
See, we even do our beer American-made. We
got
to. We'd eat American-made Twinkies, too, but somebody took the Twinkies off the shelf. No more Twinkies, no more King Dongs, no more Ho-Hos.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. Cut it out, man.
Go home and finish off my quesadillas from last night. Fellas, it's been a pleasure being with you again, and please join us next week, every Wednesday from 6 to 7 on Internet Radio America. Download that Live 365 app, please. And again, if you got to get a hold of us here at Baker, it's 1-877-640-2004. That's 2004. We love you all. Keep it American. Keep buying American. When you go into that grocery store and you pick up whatever product you're picking up, just flip it over. It takes 2 seconds. Make sure it's made in the USA and made in America. Coming up next here on Internet Radio America, it's all about American Made, the American Made program. Once again, we'll see you next week from 6 to 7. This was the Two-Wheel Meltdown. Frank, it's all yours, buddy. Made in America, coming up next.
Leaders in Internet Media and the American-Made Movement. You're listening to Internet Radio America. Tonight on Internet Radio America, it's American-Made. It's season number 2. American-Made. We interview the manufacturers, the advocates, the companies that shape American manufacturing. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Rowdy Crumley, and I'd like to welcome everybody to American Made Season 2. And Mark, you still out there? No, Mark's not there. Okay. And that was a great show. Baker Drivetrain, great company, American Made. So on that show, you know, if you listen to the last show, guys, they were talking about American-Made companies talking to American-Made companies, sharing the American-Made ideas, sharing the 4 days for America. And this is where it all starts for Season 2 of American-Made. It's sharing it with one another and really getting united here in at Internet Radio America in the 4 days for America. Movement. That's what it's all about. That's what it's going to be all about. And tonight we're going to have Michelle Nash-Hoff. And Michelle is going to be loaded with good information. We're going to have a little bit of an extended interview with her. And she wrote a book called Can American Manufacturing Be Saved? So we're going to have her on just a few short minutes here. We're also going to have Tiffany from the Bison Made and Razor Euphorium websites. And I met those guys down in Boston a couple of months ago at a trade show just for American Made. So looking forward to that and more. And let's see here. We are going to a couple of short minutes here. Our call-in number is 617-314-4700 if you want to call in. Leaders in Internet Media and the American-Made Movement.
Finally, I tried 5 times and 5 times a disconnect.
Made our error, I guess, on our end. Some
great.
phone issue coming on. So let me introduce you to the American-Made audience tonight.
Okay, great.
We have Michelle Nash-Hoff, and her book is called
Can American Manufacturing Be Saved? Why We Should and How We Can.
There you go. Can manufacturing be saved? So my question to you, can American manufacturing, Michelle, be saved?
Yes, it can be saved, but we have sort of a time limit to be able to do it before it would be too late. But I'm more positive on that than when I started writing my first edition of my book 5 years ago, because there's a lot more attention being given to American manufacturing and its importance now, especially in the last couple of years. In fact, a poll by the Alliance for American Manufacturing showed that about 80% feel that American manufacturing is very important to our national security and the welfare of our economy. So people are beginning to realize that American manufacturing means jobs for Americans.
It really does. So let me ask you a question. Let me just back up. You said something along the line is the time is running out?
Well, yes, because we have already lost the capability of manufacturing certain products. The manufacturers of products of various electronics components have actually disappeared from the United States. So if you lose enough manufacturing, you don't have a supply chain to be able to manufacture products. We have no audio industry. Nobody's making any, iPhones or, DVDs or many of those kinds of audio kinds of products in the United States anymore. And there are certain electronic components that are now only made in China. We've virtually lost our glass industry. I think we're down to one or two companies making glass products. So that's the problem. If we lose, the know-how to manufacture something, then it's going to be difficult to recreate it in the future.
Interesting. So can we get technology products back into our country?
We can, because the dynamics of doing business offshore are changing. Wages are going up in China and other Asian countries. The cost of materials is going up. The cost of shipping products from Asia to the United States is going up. And also the cost of quality, where you're getting parts that you have to remake or reject and get new ones made. That's another problem. And then there's also the cost of inventory, because to buy products from offshore, you have to buy larger lots of products, so larger quantity, which means you have to have a space for inventorying that quantity, which costs you money. So some of those things are changing the economics of doing business offshore. You're not saving the money you're used to, and in some cases, you're not saving any money, and you might as well bring it back, especially when you have intellectual property, involved in your products or technology, where you're at danger of losing it from, China counterfeiting your product or stealing the intellectual property.
Right. For you folks out there, we're talking to Michelle Nashhoff, author of Can American Manufacturing Be Saved? So let's backtrack a minute. Explain to us what really went on. I would say in the last 20 years. Wouldn't you say that's kind of where the wave started?
That's where it really accelerated. But there's always been an interest in finding lower cost areas of manufacturing. 50 years ago, it was New England manufacturers that moved to the south to the, lower cost wage areas and set up manufacturing. And New England virtually lost all their textile industry to the southern states. So there's always been an interest in going where it's lower cost to manufacture. But about 25 years ago, actually, it started where companies started outsourcing down to Mexico and outsourcing to Taiwan and the Philippines. And then it started into, parts of Asia and China. At first it was only individual parts, and then it became whole assemblies, and then it became whole products. And it really accelerated with our trade agreements, the first one being NAFTA that we signed in 1994, and where we set up the favorable trade agreements with Canada and Mexico, and a lot of manufacturing moved to Mexico. Then when we granted China the most favored nation status in the year 2000, then more and more manufacturing started to be transferred to China. It was almost like a fad thing, we can save money to go to China, so other companies followed the herd mentality of, following other manufacturers to compete. But we're also dealing with the fact that China and other countries like India and Korea have a national policy to support their manufacturers to take over the world, to take over certain industries, and they have whole policies to benefit their manufacturers, and they target industries here in the United States to take over the market and destroy the competition.
Right. So with the labor going apparently on the rise overseas, now, do you see American companies coming back here? That's kind of what I've been reading a lot about.
Yes. It really started happening on an anecdotal basis about 4 or 5 years ago. It was one company at a time coming back for different reasons, but it's becoming more of the trend now in the last 2 years. It's helped by the total cost of ownership worksheet calculator that Harry Mosier developed as part of the reshoring initiative that he founded in 2010. I'm part of that initiative and have been trained by Harry in his worksheet calculator. He's developed a way to quantify those hidden costs of doing business offshore and have, different calculations so you can compare per part or per product whether you're saving